It was about this time of year in 2022 when I received an email in my inbox, and it was from Christopher Ward about a new watch that they were coming out with, and that was the Bel Canto. That was the original blue dial, and I immediately fell in love. I actually picked up one of those first 300 that were made in blue. Those sold out in 8 hours. A few days later, they decided to do a limited edition of green. Those sold out in about 2 hours, and ever since, the Bel Canto has taken the watch world by storm. They have changed the face of luxury watches. They're a phenomenon not only because of how they look, but the functionality that they offer at the price. These are incredible watches, and today we're taking a look at a second edition of the Bel Canto. This is called the Bel Canto Classic, and there are changes in this new model that I think a lot of people will be very excited about. I have the blue dial to show you guys, and I'm going to be comparing it directly to my original blue Bel Canto. So let's flip the camera and take a look at the newest Christopher Ward, the Bel Canto Classic. The original Bel Canto was released in November of 2022. In 2023, it won an award through the Grand Prix of Horology, and that was for the best watch under 8,000 Swiss francs. This is probably one of the best watches that you can get under 15,000 Swiss francs. This is the new Bel Canto. They've made some significant changes to this version versus the version that is on my wrist. They are small, but they feel significant because it does change the look of this watch. They're calling this the C1 Bel Canto Classic. The biggest change here is the dial. You're getting a new laser-etched guilloche dial. That pattern on the dial is extremely dynamic. It is beautiful. There's also a new box sapphire crystal. That sapphire crystal is now very high and boxed off the top of that grade 5 titanium case. So this still gets the same grade 5 titanium case. It gets the same chiming mechanism. They are adding some new bracelets, really straps and a clasp to the mix. And you're getting the same bracelet that you did before. I have that bracelet on my watch. I'll show you that in just a second. But that extra sapphire crystal does add a little bit of an element to it that makes it look more classic and a little bit more higher end, I think, in my opinion. And they've also made another change to this. And there were a lot of complaints about the first version, about the version that I have on my wrist, the dial. So basically, there are two dials here. There's the dial portion that tells the time. That's at 12 o'clock. It's very small, and it's really secondary to everything else on the watch. You have all of the mechanism. You have the spring that goes all the way around the dial. That's really what you're there for, what you're looking at when you're looking at this watch. Below that is the other portion of the dial. It's basically what gives you the color of this dial, but everything is sitting above that area. And now that area is a guilloche pattern. Because of that, they had to give you a little bit more height. That's the reason why they're using a box sapphire crystal, but they have also changed that dial at the 12 o'clock. It's a little bit more legible. Like I was saying, the biggest complaint that I got when I did the review of the original Bel Canto was that it was not legible, and they have made that correction through this model. So what they've done is basically change the dial. I'll put them side by side. You could now see the indices on here a little bit better. There is less lume. Actually, I believe there is no lume on this watch. So the hands aren't lume. The indices are no longer lumed. They were lumed on the older watch, on the watch that's on my wrist, but they have taken away the lume and given you a more legible dial. The major differences are that there is a minute track now. That minute track is printed in black on that dial. It's on the most outer portion of the dial. And then, of course, all of the indices are printed in black. So they are obviously more predominant on that dial. The other thing is that the circular disc that makes the dial is slightly thicker as well. So a little bit more surface area to that disc so you could see it a little bit better during the day. Other than that, everything stays the same. There is the other change that is happening here in the straps. So the straps that they have added onto these watches for the Bel Canto, so they've come out with an entire line of straps for the Bel Canto, are getting a better taper. And I think that's a very good thing because I really like a taper, and also it looks, I think, in my opinion, more expensive, more elegant with a taper to it. So this is going from 22 millimeters down to 16 millimeters. It's a really good taper, and you're getting a new clasp on here. And this is in grade 2 titanium. It is a double push button deployant clasp. It is a bespoke clasp to the Bel Canto. I'm not sure if they're going to be allowing this to be used on other watches, maybe like the new Lumiere that came out recently, which is also in titanium. I think that would make sense, but it's double push button and it's really nicely made. It has a little keeper here that holds the extra flap behind it. I think that looks good. And it's signed Christopher Ward right there. It feels really nice, and it's obviously proprietary to Christopher Ward. This is their own design. It's signed with the Christopher Ward logo right there. That's basically the only place that the logo shows up on the entire watch. It's polished, so the buttons are polished. Everything else is media blasted. Really beautiful buckle on here, or clasp, and the straps are really nice as well. This strap is a cav leather strap in blue. I want to get this for my blue Bel Canto. I think it would look really good on there. The case is exactly the same, so you're still getting that grade 5 titanium case. The bracelets that come on this are in grade 2 titanium, so that's the same thing that you got with the previous Bel Canto. There is a beautiful line of polish that goes along the top of the case, and here they are together. Obviously, the one in my left hand is the original blue limited edition that came out in November of 2022. It was 300 pieces. It sold out in 8 hours. I was one of the lucky people to get one, and here it is. And again, this is on the grade 2 batter bracelet with the micro adjust. So you can see there are some significant differences between these two watches just on the visual. Because of the dial on the new Classic, you could see it's a lighter blue. You also have that texturing, which is really dynamic when you move it around in the light. That dial at the 12 o'clock is very different. You can see it's thicker than the dial that was on the original right there. However, with that being said, everything else is pretty much the same. The chiming mechanism is the same. You're still getting a Sellita SW200, 30 meters of water resistance. Dimensions are pretty much the same as well. I measured 41 millimeters with my calipers, or just under 41 millimeters, a 47.4 millimeter lug to lug. That's on the strap. It's a little bit bigger on the bracelet, almost 50 millimeters. And then the thickness. The thickness is really the only difference. This, the new Classic, is slightly thicker because of that boxed sapphire crystal. It comes in at around 13.1 millimeters thick, while the original comes in at around just under 13 millimeters thick. I measured 12.9 millimeters thick. The chime is almost exactly the same. I don't think it changes because of that boxed sapphire crystal. I'll pull out the crown on my original and I'll let you hear that chime. It sounds really good. So that's the original, and let's listen to the new Classic. Back to the original. So maybe there is a little bit of a difference. It actually does sound a little bit louder on the new Classic. It sounded different to me. Maybe I'm crazy, but tell me down in the comments. What do you think? Which one sounds better? Other than that, everything else works exactly the same. You still have that little button around that 4 o'clock position, 4 or 5 o'clock position. And when you press it, that little red arrow moves. That's to turn on and off the chime, and it works exactly the same as the previous model. And there is the C1 Bel Canto Classic on my 7.5 inch wrist. It fits really well, just like the original Bel Canto. It looks beautiful. It looks way more expensive than it actually is. And I think that's why this watch is so wildly popular with collectors. It's aspirational for those who collect micro brands and more affordable watches. However, it's in reach because it's not that expensive considering what you're getting here. This could be a grail watch for a lot of people. And then people who collect very high-end watches also buy a Bel Canto because it represents extremely good value when you consider what you're getting for the money. This is something that every collector out there will want in their collection. And I was really thinking about it today. I was thinking about the Bel Canto and Christopher Ward in general. This is the watch that changed Christopher Ward's direction. They were making excellent watches, really good watches. And then they did something crazy. They came out with something that was just over the top. They didn't overcharge for the watch. They charged what they were always going to charge because they followed their own formula. And by doing that, they really have solidified themselves as an enthusiast brand. And as they grow larger, they're going to be gathering a lot of fans with this, with the Bel Canto and the 12X and watches like the Lumiere. And Christopher Ward will be that step into higher end watches without having to spend a lot of money. And speaking of money, this comes in at $4,225 on this strap with this new buckle, which I think is really good. That is a very good price. And I highly recommend on this blue strap. It looks phenomenal. That dial looks phenomenal in combination. They're coming out with this in gold, I believe they're calling it. There is a silver dial, a blue dial, and a green dial. That green dial is insane. I've seen that in person as well. I think I have a video of that. I will throw that up if I do. It is beautiful, but again, I love the blue dial. It's classic. I almost want to buy one of these because I do have the original blue. I would love to have this blue as well, but you know, I can't have every single watch that comes out. This is gorgeous though, and they're improving on something that really, in my opinion, was basically perfect to begin with, but they were able to do it and they were able to make improvements to it to make it even better. On the bracelet, so the batter bracelet, the one that I have, the one that was on my original Bel Canto, it comes out to $4,540. This does not get lume. They have removed the lume from the hands. The hands are slightly different. The hands are faceted, but not lumed. They look great. And again, I'll do close-ups of everything so you could see everything on this watch because obviously it deserves tons of close-ups. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this watch? What do you think of the improvements that they have made to what is already a great watch? So just an evolution of the Bel Canto. I think it's phenomenal. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. I'll put a link to this watch to the Christopher Ward website down in the description. So definitely check this out on their website if you are interested. I highly recommend it. I'm sure these will sell like hotcakes because the Bel Canto has just been selling like crazy over the past few years. And it will continue to sell because, I mean, look at it. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments below. Please also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. Super helpful for the channel, and I very much appreciate it. Anyway, guys, thank you for logging on. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you guys in the next video.